Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. This is fantastic. It is so jam-packed. I feel like we're doing I don't know. This is like a presentation by itself, so get a notepad out. I got a lot to spill to you, okay, on the upcoming Direct, on Nintendo's plans for 2022 and 2023, and on a bunch of new games. So what's going on, everybody? It is Zach from SwitchForce. Ain't nobody stopping me from doing what I love, and you should adopt that attitude as well. All right, I'm gonna roll right into it with you. No time to waste. A bunch of Switch games got updates today, all right, aka release date updates. We now know that the Outbound Ghost is releasing on November 25th in physical form for Switch. Now, the Outbound Ghost is the Paper Mario game with ghosts that looks sick and fantastic, but that might not be the only Paper Mario thing happening. And I'm talking about actual Paper Mario, but that's a tease. All right, so this game is supposed to come out on PC on, I believe, September 23rd. No set date for eShop yet, but hopefully eShop is between September 23rd and November 25th. I think this is definitely a game to watch out for. Katana Zero, probably the best Switch indie. Not Celeste, Katana Zero. That is getting DLC after years. Finally, they say we'll see a new gameplay trailer for the DLC this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll definitely be sharing it with you. Haiku is coming to Switch on September 9th, which looks to be a glorious game. I haven't played this one yet, but I've read very good things. I actually got it queued up on my Steam Deck, but now I can play it on Switch. It reminds me a lot of Kunai, which was my indie darling, I think in 2020. I think that was 2 years ago. It's got very similar, high-end Game Boy Color scheme graphics Metroidvania with a really cool robot. It looks perfect, so check that out. And then apparently Biomutant is dropping on Switch in October. A retailer leak indicates that that one is finally coming, but I will warn you, I played Biomutant on PlayStation, and I did not find it all that great. So unless they've made some significant quality of life improvements and gameplay tweaks, I think that's probably a pass, but I wanted to let you know it could be one that pops up in the September Direct because it's a decently sized third-party edition. Now then, Pokemon Company also put some stuff on our agenda today because they unveiled the next Pokemon from the Paldea region. Grafaiai is looking fierce. I know he's not as cute as some people wanted the little lemur to be, but he is a poison normal type who packs a punch of color. He licks his lips and poison and on his fingers and on his teeth. It's a little bit gross, but also awesome. And I think the Pokemon designs in Gen 9 are the best they've been since Gen 1, which is one of the major reasons I'm so excited for this game. Finding new Pokemon is brilliant. They're being reserved with the lineup, which I think is smart, and they don't look like a mess of keychains and candelabras. They look like really organic, awesome mons. And so I'm pumped. I'm also pleased that Pokemon did not do a 12-hour live stream. They instead just said, here's a 3-minute video or a minute-and-a-half video, and here he is, official art. But the crunch of our discussion, all right, the gooey chocolate center of this Thursday cookie is that Nintendo is doing something very strange, okay? And we have a bunch of leaks and rumors popping out from Liam Roberts, Nate Drake, Emily Rogers, and more, Jeff Grubb, all talking about Nintendo's GameCube resurgence. Now, this is exciting because it really could be a number of different things. Now, most people assume this is referencing Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Metroid Prime, and potentially F-Zero GX all coming soon. But what made this fascinating and what you need to know is that Emily Rogers says it's more. There are a ton of GameCube things in the works, and Liam Roberts echoes that as well, that there are mega GameCube plans happening, which all of a sudden people start thinking, NSO GameCube? Would Nintendo do that? And my quick blush answer is no. They've been so reserved. They drip feed us NES games. To leapfrog to the GameCube seems odd, but then what are they talking about with more than just these rumored ports? Emily seems very confident Nintendo is entering an era of remakes and remasters, and she seems to indicate that this is possibly because Nintendo is at the end of the Switch life cycle. Now, don't fret, you're not going to have to get a new system, because I believe we're talking about an enhanced iteration, not like a whole new console like the Swii or something, Switch and Wii fused, or the 4DS, but instead like a Switch Pro. And because we're getting close to that, Nintendo is saving its bigger projects for that launch, and instead is just going to pump franchises that they want to bring familiarity to. Emily Rogers says that directly, that Nintendo wants to get as many IP on Switch as possible to take advantage of the install base, 110 million players, and to give these franchises love. That they apparently have been paying attention to message boards and Twitter and socials, which honestly gives me chills because we've been begging this of Nintendo for so long. Like, Nintendo, you have so many fans. Listen, we know what we want, we know what we love, and we give you so much money. I mean, we buy Switches left and right, we buy Pro Controllers we don't need. Listen up. So it sounds like a lot of the things that have been indicated by fans are gonna come to fruition, and F-Zero GX would be one of them. But Emily says it's more, and people were starting to speculate. Could this be Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which has been a much requested remake from many fans of that line of Mario titles? Could Star Fox Adventures be coming back, given that people have always had just a curious fascination with that era of the Fox's past? Could we get a bunch more GameCube games? Smash Brothers Melee, Chibi Robo, Pikmin. What else could Nintendo tap into for this GameCube resurgence? And how strange if all of them come out around the same time. Like putting out Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Metroid Prime, all with varying degrees probably of new content and levels of remaster. Like, it seems like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are going to be just like touch-ups, whereas Metroid Prime, it seems like, is going to be flashy and fancy. So putting these all out in a row seems so odd. And then you look at what the leakers are saying of, no, it's more than that. And my mind does drift to GameCube NSO, but my mind also drifts to GameCube Mini. Nintendo did love having all of their mini consoles, and those were pretty nifty. But why would you do that when you can sell them all for $60, right? You can sell these games as sort of remasters or full-on remakes for $60. So the plans seem to be evading us. I don't quite know what Emily and Nate and Liam are teasing here, and I'd love to hear what you think, but more than a couple GameCube remasters all in a row sounds wild. And we'll find out soon, because September 12th is approaching, and that seems to be the really locked-in week for the Direct, which I cannot wait for. And I'm curious to see how a glorious era of Nintendo is brought to the 2020 modern times. Like, what do they do with this GameCube stuff to make it feel cool? You know, another sort of side idea is maybe they're going to have a GameCube-themed Switch Lite. They could do that. Haven't released a new colorway in a while. They could do GameCube Joy-Con. I'm not sure how far they would take this, but it would be kind of a unique thing for Nintendo to focus so heavily on one era for this current time. And I do like what Emily says about, it seems to indicate Nintendo could be just sort of patching the time until they're ready to drop the next big thing. If we imagine that they want to save Breath of the Wild 2 to launch this thing, if they want to save New Mario to launch this thing, if they want to save some of their bigger stuff, then that makes sense. And it also makes sense, as we're seeing this in other spaces of the industry, that to sort of whet the appetite for fans, you remake or remaster something and then work on a new one. You get a team familiar with the franchise, and then you allow them to go further. So like they're bringing back, Dead Space remake to then, I guess, eventually make a new Dead Space. And there's rumors of like, a Splinter Cell remake to then eventually make a new Splinter Cell. And so while obviously new entries would be super exciting, if we do get a game like F-Zero, that could lead to a new F-Zero, and maybe they just want to really test the waters with the Switch's huge audience. Like, is there demand? And you guys have been saying you want them, so we're going to listen, but which ones do you really want? And see how the sales turn out for some of these remasters and remakes, and then decide where to progress from them. But the whole GameCube resurgence is just very interesting. N64 has been the focus of the game expansion pack, and we believe that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance are next for Nintendo Switch Online. So GameCube kind of coming out of left field is interesting, especially because it's been said that many of these games have been ready for a while. Like supposedly Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and Metroid Prime, they've been sitting on them, right? We've heard rumors about these games for years, so why save it for this like big push all in a row, all at once? How close can they put these things out together? I mean, if Metroid is going to go November with Pokemon, Zelda goes September or early October, and then when do you bring F-Zero and whatever else? Like, this has me just super excited, because directs are always great, new games are always great, but they clearly have some unique strategy here, some interesting plan, and I'm curious where Nintendo goes, and I think this is kind of laying the groundwork for 2023 and what that means for their big new games and what that means for possible hardware, because in the midst of all of this, people are still predicting and still indicating that 2023 does feel like a time Nintendo will opt to iterate on the Switch and make the more powerful system we've all been waiting for. So taking advantage of a little bit of the past while you wait to push for the future, that could be what they're up to. And the dark side of all of this is what I discussed yesterday, the whole price conundrum, because they probably are going to try to charge $60 for each of these. These games were not $60 when they first released, and depending on the level of upgrade, I feel like we're in for just strange times. All of this is strange times, but it seems like it's going to be good times because we will be getting a bunch of announcements soon. I cannot wait for that. I'll keep you posted as more drops, all right, as we hear more, but a whole slew of Switch release dates, some new announcements, and then this GameCube mecha that seems to be materializing for mid-September. All plans will be known soon, and of course, I'll keep you covered. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Give me your take in the comments down below. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, my wonderful people, do what you love, and do it without any inhibition and without any care for how people will judge you or think of you or view you. Just be you, all right? Until next time, thanks again. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.